Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here I am with my review for the latest episode of Quantum Leap, that being episode 6, titled What a Disaster. And I'll tell you from the get-go that this is probably one of the strongest episodes, I think in my opinion anyway, that we've had thus far. And I'll tell you why after this.
The San Francisco earthquake.
We just need to figure out what you're here to do.
Give me your hand.
This building's coming down. Look out! Wake up.
So welcome back to the channel all. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Either way, if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please consider doing so. I do review Quantum Leap on a weekly basis, and yeah, so hit that subscribe button, but more importantly, leave a comment. Let's talk about Quantum Leap. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. Hopefully you have seen it before watching this, because there will be spoilers. But regardless, let me know your thoughts on Quantum Leap as a whole, your history of Quantum Leap, you know, whether you enjoyed the original series, whether you don't, whether you're enjoying this, whether this isn't working for you, whatever it may be. Stick it down below. Let's have a nice friendly conversation regarding Quantum Leap. All thoughts are welcome, good or bad. So anyway, this episode here, what a disaster. Now, if you remember, in the last episode, we was left with a lot of questions because during Ben's time in the Wild West, he was approached by a fellow leaper, shall we say, who warned him off of following him, and quite a heavy warning as well. So we're left with a lot of intrigue and questions about that. Now, I did wonder whether the series would shy away from giving us any answers for an episode or two at least, with it sort of hovering in the background. But no, in the B story for this episode, they go deep in. But before that, let's focus on the A story, the leap story for this episode. So here we find Ben leaping into John Harvey, who's this fellow, and he's with his estranged wife in a bar, just minutes before the Loma Prieta earthquake of San Francisco, 1989. And he comes to realise before it hits what's happening. All the while he's, you know, going through his conversation about his relationship ending, his wife wanting a divorce. But he manages to get her and the other people out of this bar to safety before the earthquake, or as the earthquake is striking. Now, his wife is actually played by Jewel Straight of Firefly fame. She played Kaylee, the engineer, and she was also one of the stars for a while of Stargate Atlantis. So it's great to see this actress back on screen. It did take me a few minutes to realise who I was looking at. I recognised her, but it didn't strike me straight away. So this episode here, it follows, you know, you've got this story set during this earthquake, and we come to find out that these two individuals have a son together, and their son would die during the events of this earthquake. That he would be found in a collapsed building, which is where he used to live, where they moved from to where they live now. So we're given this story that is very sort of emotionally grounded, in that you've got a couple that's going through a divorce. You've got the son element, and obviously he's angry at the mother for wanting a divorce because he's overheard this conversation on a phone. This is like backstory to the characters, and this is what's driven the son to go back to where they used to live, which is where he never wanted to move away from. So Ben and, or I should say, John Harvey and his wife have to head over there, making their way through the destruction of the earthquake, and on the route helping a couple of people out, which ends up injuring John's wife. He has to bring her back to life, resuscitate her essentially. And yeah, so you've got an emotionally charged story, and which is fantastic. Quite a grounded story in that it's a couple going through a breakup. But obviously it is set during the events of this earthquake, which is a sort of surreal situation to be in. And, you know, I don't think that's necessary all the time, but it works for this story here. So you've got that element, you've got the sun element, and not only that, you've got a time frame. You know, they've got to get from point A to point B for all this mess before this building collapses and kills the boy. So you know that time is an issue, is a factor in this storytelling. And with that comes a very tight kind of storytelling. and you're sort of on the edge of your seat because you know that time is ticking down and they need to get to this location here. So it's a great leap. It's a great leap story, character driven, emotional, time frame to be worked within, and it makes it feel tighter than some of the storytelling we've got before. And then we go to the B story. The B story being what's happening in the QLHQ. And obviously this is revolving around the crew working there, Magik and his people, trying to figure out who this other leaper is, and it opens a door of a lot of questions, and they're all asking questions that the audience might be asking as well, you know, and they come to realise, well, it's feasible that this leaper hasn't even leapt yet. You know, is there another machine somewhere that someone is leaping from? Are they actually leaping from this machine here in the Quantum Leap HQ, but from somewhere in the future for 10 years down the line? Who knows, right? It opens that sort of doorway of exploration into Quantum Leap and the sort of head mind screw up that time travel can be, right? Anyway, they've got a photo of the fellow, because we come to learn in the imaging chamber what Madison sees is she sees the person for who they really are as opposed to the person they leap into. So she's the what you saw of this leaper is what he was, not the person that he's in. And thusly, they managed to get a photo of him from this, and they put it through the databases until they come out with the image of this fella who's a Marine named Richard Martinez, who's based at this Pendleton Marine Camp. And so Magik and the I forget the character's name, my mind's gone blank, the woman who's the security officer, the sort of second-rate Ming-Na Wen character, they go and visit him. But they're at a point where they don't actually, he doesn't know what's going on. He hasn't leapt yet, or as far as we can tell, he hasn't. It's kind of like they've reached him before this has occurred. And they ask him questions and this sort of thing. This is fantastic stuff, fantastic scene. Ernie Hudson's great in it, and the other actress, you know, to be fair to her character seems to be coming round on me a little bit, even though she's wholly undeveloped. You know, there's a lot of good stuff. But again, we come away and they're questioning themselves as to whether them visiting him has driven him, will drive him to go and do what he's going to do, the leap in and work with it, because he starts investigating it. We just don't know. We're left with all these questions. We know who the person is, but we still don't know why, or the events of why he's leaping, how he's leaping, and all this sort of stuff. Not only that, we come to learn that it's possible that Ben might actually be trying to leap to a point in the future as opposed to a point in the past. Again, opening the door, another doorway, and a lot of other questions. So very tight storytelling on both fronts, A and B. Both were very good stories. Not only that, I forgot to mention that in the A storyline you do have Ben having these flashbacks to his mother and an argument he would have with his mother when he was a child and his mother dying, and again that adds to the emotional core of the episode. So all in all, a very good episode. I do feel that these characters in this show are now coming together, that, you know, they're working well together. I'm warming to all of them. Relationships are being built between them, which is fantastic. And if the show could continue like this, as strong as this episode, then we're in for some good stuff. Because I do believe that this is, and this is why I said that I believe this is the strongest episode of the season thus far, because it's the writing is tighter, the emotion is there, and there's a certain mystery element to it as well. So it all comes together in this episode. If anyone was to say, should I give it a try, tell me one episode to watch, I would say to them, watch this episode. Yeah, that's what I would go with. Obviously it ends with Jesus Christ, Ben leaping into what looks to be a Halloween-centric episode, where it looks like he might be he's a sort of man of the cloth, but is he an exorcist? Is he going into his building to perform an exorcism? We don't know. We got to wait and we got to find out, because the rug may be pulled out from under us. We'll have to wait and see. So let me know your thoughts on this episode. Do you think it's as good as what I thought it was? I'm really intrigued to hear your thoughts on it. Let me know down below. And like I said, hit that subscribe button, come join the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, and goodbye.